Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, student. Today we are with the same topic, with the same chapter, chapter number 7, Bioenergetics, class 9th. Today we have another topic, that is ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphates. ATP is actually the energy currency of cell. Energy currency of cell means uh, all the functions of the cells are because of energy. So as a currency play a role in a country, as well as energy play a role like currency in the cell. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. Why does we called it adenosine triphosphate? Adenosine, we will discuss it in the next slides. Adenosine is called it due to the combination of ribose sugar and adenine base. So due to the combination of these two, we call it adenosine. And tri means 3, phosphate means phosphate group. So there are 3 phosphate group with the adenosine, so it is called adenosine triphosphate. Actually ATP is the stored form of energy in the organisms. In the life of organism, it is impossible that energy is not supplied to the body of organisms, then their life will be impossible. So energy is used for all the functions of life processes which are occurring in the bodies of living organisms, like reproduction, respiration, movement, development, and circulation, or other organ systems in the body. They need energy. The living organism uh, use this energy in a stored form, so we can say ATP is a stored form of energy. So living organism use energy in the form of ATP, also called energy currency of cell, as we said in the first topic, in the first title. uh, Rich compound, energy rich compound. ATP is energy rich compound because um, the ability of ATP to store and release energy is because of its unique structure. Okay, ATP has its unique structure, therefore it has mm, energy rich compound. It is energy rich compound. All the processes, as I said, depend on the availability of energy. Animal use energy in the form of ATP. Molecule consists of three compounds. Actually there are 3 compounds in, if we see the molecules in the structure of ATP. There is adenine, nitrogen base, ribose, 5 carbon sugar. There are 5 carbons, 3 phosphate groups in this ATP. And number 1, adenosine. Adenosine, what is actually adenosine? Adenosine is the combination of adenine and ribose sugar. When adenine covalently bonded with ribose sugar and form a compound that is called adenosine. That is called adenosine. Adenosine plus ribose sugar, they make adenosines. Here this is not adenine, it is adenosine. So combinedly, when adenine, nitrogen base, and ribose 5 carbon sugar combine covalently, they form adenosine. The structure of ATP. Here we have adenine. Adenine is a nitrogenous base. Okay, and here we have ribose. Ribose has 5 carbons on the 5 corners. Number one here, carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, carbon 5. So here we have 5 carbons. This ribose is called 5 carbon sugar. So this is adenine, and there are 3 phosphate groups. So this whole structure is called ATP. This is all the structure of ATP, chemical structure of adenosine triphosphate. So here we have adenosine, this sugar and adenine, when they are covalently bonded here, so this whole structure is called adenosine. 3 phosphate groups. As I said, ATP molecule is composed of adenosine and 3 phosphate group. So 3 phosphate groups are bonded to adenosine in a linear chain to form ATP. They are in line. 3 phosphates are bonded to the ribose sugar to adenosine. 3 phosphates are added to. This is this is we have adenosine. Okay, and these 3 phosphate groups are attached where they are attached to ribose side, not to this adenine side, to adenosine. Okay, this all is adenosine, so it is bonded to ribose. I energy bonds. We have I energy bonds in the structure of ATP. If we see bonds between phosphate groups, bonds between phosphate to phosphate groups, those bonds have very high energy. Why? There is a reason. And these bonds we represent by a specific curved sign like this sign. Okay, this sign is called squiggle. This squiggle type of bond has too much energy. So these squiggle type of bonds are between are among the phosphate groups. 3 point sorry 7.3 k calories per mole energy is released by breakdown of one bond. These squiggle bonds are very energetic. If we break one of them, so how much energy will be released? 7.3 k calories per mole energy will be released. This energy is used by organisms when cells or organisms break down the ATP, and by the release of one phosphate there will be this energy released, 7.3 k calories per mole energy, and the same energy will be used by the. Okay, here you can see this is the old structure of ATP. Here you can see there are 3 phosphate, 1 2 3, and between them there are two bonds. You can see this is I energy bond squiggle, and this is also energy. When an animal or a cell break downs this bond here, and this phosphate will release by the breakdown of this high energy bond squiggle bond, too much energy is released, and that energy is used. Students, here we have ATP cycle. As you know, ATP is adenosine triphosphate. Here we have new term ADP. ADP is actually when one phosphate is released from the ATP, and then there will be two phosphate will remain, so then we will call it ADP. So there is a cycle when from ATP ADP is formed, and from ADP ATP is again formed. So there is a cycle when constantly breakdown and formation of ATP is continue. So when ATP breaks, it makes ADP. When one phosphate is added again to ADP, it makes ATP. uh, an ATP molecule breaks down and form ADP molecules. by breakdown of ATP in inorganic phosphate with release of energy. Here in this chemical reaction you can see here is ADP that is hydrolyzed by water, and one phosphate is released, ATP change into ADP. Also energy is released, 7.3 calories per mole energy is released. So this is a IDP ATP cycle. ADP is when ADP is hydrolyzed. When ADP is hydrolyzed, when one from ATP one phosphate is released, then it becomes ADP, and when we hydrolyze this ADP, one phosphate is released, it becomes AMP. AMP means adenosine monophosphate. Adenosine with 3 phosphate is called adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine with 2 phosphate is called ADP, adenosine diphosphate. Adenosine with 1 phosphate is called AMP, adenosine monophosphate. So when we hydrolyze this ADP, it when one more the remaining one phosphate will release, there will be remain just 1 phosphate, so it will become AMP, with the release of energy. Constantly ATP is formed by the addition of ADP and phosphates using the same energy. The same energy will be required, which is required for the breakdown of a squiggle bond, for formation of squiggle bond by attachment for addition of ADP or one inorganic phosphate. The same energy will be required. Like here it is ADP plus inorganic phosphate, so the energy is required here. The same energy, 7.3 kcalorie will be required here to become ATP. And this ADP we get from where? When we heat food, in our food, in our nutrient, there is glucose, and this ADP we get by the breakdown of glucose during respiration. When during respiration glucose is breakdown, energy is released, and that energy is stored in the form of ATP. So this ADP we get from that glucose by the breakdown of glucose. Here we have the diagram of that cycle, ADP ATP cycle. So here you can see there we have ATP molecule, adenosine. This is all adenosine with us. This adenine and ribose are combinedly called adenosine. With adenosine we have 3 phosphates of group 1 2 3, so it is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. 3 phosphate, tri means 3. When this squiggle bond, high energy bond, is breakdown, this phosphate group will release. When this phosphate is released with energy, so we will have 2 phosphates with adenosine. This is our adenosine, we have 2 phosphate. 2 means di, adenosine diphosphate. When this squiggle bond is breakdown, another phosphate will release, so we will have 1 phosphate with adenosine, that will be called AMP, adenosine monophosphate. But with the addition of this phosphate, it will become ADP, and with the ADP, if we add this another phosphate with the help of energy, so it will become again ATP. This is ATP and ADP cycle, and that is all about today's topic. Thank you all of you.